welcome into the Tuesday World Cup Soccer DFS breakdown. We've got 4 games again today. We're going to keep chugging along. Not the day that I was necessarily hoping for yesterday. Did cash some of the tickets that I'd won, so that was at least nice to get something out of it. But just kind of didn't break the slate. Of course, didn't break the way that I wanted. Kind of early on with Spain, had a couple hedge builds, but even those were didn't go as far as playing the goalie for the other side. So didn't get to where exactly I wanted to be as the slate progressed, and we had some Uruguay pieces that I didn't have, and it is what it is. But we move on to the next day, and man, we've got a much different slate than we've had so far this year on these 4 gamers. We've had the last 2 days, we've had massive favorites in the first game, and we've had to get exposure to them, in my opinion. Both days, one worked out, one didn't really work out. Here we have 4 favorites that are going to be, and I haven't updated these odds this morning, but we've got 4 very solid favorites, which is going to make all the underdogs like massively under-owned. Well, maybe not under-owned, but just very low-owned. And we have a lot of places we can get exposure. We've got a ton of big names with France, Norway, Argentina. All 3 of those teams have a lot of they always have a lot of name value, and they're going to gather ownership because of that. But we'll kind of talk through. Yeah, Sean, so I had it as 10:30 p.m. and my goal was to get to it last night, but that just didn't work out. And I sent a message late in our Discord saying that it was going to be at 8, around 8 this morning. So sorry about that for you guys that aren't in there and weren't able to see that. But yeah, it was supposed to be last night, so I apologize. Probably through the week, depending on the day, I'll try to give you a planned schedule for the rest of at least the next few days. So tomorrow is probably going to be the same time in the morning, around 8. Thursday, I'm going to have to get it up tomorrow night for Thursday. I've got some work stuff that early that morning that's going to run till about noon. And then same thing on Thursday night, I'm going to have to get out Friday. So you're going to have tomorrow morning again around this time, and then you're going to have 10:30, maybe 11. It'll of course be for replay in the morning if you can't get to it. But I'm going to be getting it up pretty late on those 2 nights. So let's get into the games here. So first one is France and Senegal. You've got France as a -218 favorite. Of course, like I said, haven't updated those this morning. Looks like they are -227 now. Big name value. We'll touch on some set piece stuff for these teams, and it's going to be some pieces between, let's see here, Elise and Douillet would be the set piece takers within this starting lineup. Let me pop that. I keep putting it on my phone let's see. Yeah, so for the other side, it's looking like in this projected lineup that you would have Sadio Mane, and you may have Malik Diouf at defender for Senegal, who may have some sets. We'll get to them in just a second. But for France, Mbappe, Elise, Douillet would all be really good plays. Mbappe all have solid floors. I think that it's a great matchup for them as well. Dembele is more of the tournament option in this lineup for me. And then you get down into the value pieces for this team, and you've got Tushimini at 4K, okay, but I prefer Adrian Rabiot at 4,200. I think he just kind of gets involved a little bit more in the different areas of creating. And then Koundé, Teo Hernandez in this projected lineup would be the wingbacks. Saliba and Upamas Meccano would be the center backs. You can pick out center back goals here. You can get exposure to any of these France pieces. Of course, the higher priced and the priorities, as you'll see in the ranks today, would be Elise, Douye, Mbappe, followed by Dembele. And then when you get to the value, it would be Rabiot for me would be number one. Kind of getting rid of position discussion here. But Rabiot would be number one, then Koundé. I will have Teo Hernandez highlighted, more of a tournament look in my opinion, and then Koundé, and then the center backs. For Senegal, Mane, I think he's a fine tournament option. I mean, France is not it's not like they're this great defense in my opinion. So Mane, I think, is a fine play in the mid-range there in tournaments. Same with Nicholas Jackson, who has pretty decent goal-scoring odds. Both of those guys for this big of a dog. Diouf, mentioned him. I don't know that he's not 4,300 is a little much, but he may get a somewhat of a share of set pieces. So probably want to keep him in the pool at least, but not a ton of interest in just like thinking Senegal's going to score 2 or 3 here. Next game, and some of these goal scoring odds, I've got to kind of fix the feed in so I can let me pull that up on a different screen too. Talking through. Next game is Norway. They're the biggest favorite. They're going to get quite a bit of ownership here against Iraq. Let me touch on this really quick. 3-6. You're looking at, Crepin Diatta. I think he's okay. I would like to see he's mid and forward eligible. And let me pull up Sofa. I assume that's who you're talking about. Let's see. So Sofa, he's out. Him and Diouf would be the wing backs. I wish he was defender. Maybe that to me, I do wish he was kind of a defender, but they're more than likely not getting the clean sheet, so maybe it really doesn't matter, and it does give you some flexibility. But that is a cheap forward price for sure. I think you could. I wouldn't argue with that call there. Let's see. Get the second game. Goal scorers. All right. So Holland, obviously 10-7, going to be most likely goal scorer here. Probably going to have a ton of ownership. Great matchup against Iraq. Set pieces for Norway is going to be Ryerson and Odegaard, who I think are both really good options. Ryerson at defender, I think we're going to need to pay up for that. 6,700. I think we can get there. We're going to need some value probably in that midfield and maybe second defender spot. Moeller Wolf is a great option. He rates out pretty well, 4,500 for a wing back of the biggest favorite on the slate. Sorloth would be the pivot. His goal scoring odds are second best at plus 135 on DraftKings. To Erling Haaland. Odegaard, like I said, would have set pieces, but you're paying for it. Nusa, I think, is a fine tournament option as well. Looks like on DraftKings, he's a little higher than what I have here. He's plus 265 instead of 165. But I think all those guys are in play that I mentioned. And this is turning quickly into a slate where, does it end up being you pick out, the goal scorers and all these teams score 2 or 3, and you maybe avoid one of the teams that underperforms, or does this turn into a slate where multiple of the teams underperform and we get something kind of like yesterday, but then we have one of these teams like a Norway, like an Argentina, France that just really go off and score 4 or 5 and you need to overstack them? I wouldn't hate the idea of going, if you have multiple tournament teams, kind of building multiple out where you do stack up some of these teams a little more than just going through and picking your best plays. I think we're going to have goals today. So in tournaments, I don't think the answer is going through and picking out just a bunch of set piece takers. Outside of by just set piece takers, I mean guys that aren't like Messi, who has massive goal upside with that as well. But that's Norway. I don't really have much on Iraq. I think Amari and who's the other guy in that starting? Jassim, I think, would split sets. Jassim is 4K. Just not a great matchup at all. So don't have a ton of interest in them. Maybe if you, and yeah, Amari's only 3,200 in the midfield. I don't hate that. But again, I need to look back at some of the lead-in stuff for Iraq. I mean, they're massive dogs here to Norway, who's good. But I don't know that they're definitely kind of a level off one of the best teams in this competition, in my opinion. Next game, we've got Argentina as the favorite, minus 250, similar to the France odds. For them, you've got Lionel Messi, who's going to be the majority of set piece taker. You could see DePaul. I don't think so. We could have one here and there. I think 11K is a fine price for him. I've got this is supposed to be Lautaro Martinez. I got a name match issue there. I'll get that fixed. Let me see what his price is while we're on that, so I can touch on it. Yeah, he's 10-2. That's kind of tough to get there. He will be I would think he's going to be Lautaro would be super low owned in that spot at that price tag. Almada, on the other hand, 6,200. I mean, that's just super cheap. I think he's a really good option here for one of the better favorites on the slate. Him and Messi, I think, would be a fine Argentina stack. You can mix in Enzo Fernandez in the mid-range. I think he is a good option to get forward, good goal scoring odds for him. I think he is just overall a really good player, and I like to get access to those guys. Molina and Medina in this projected lineup would be the wingbacks. I think you can go there. This team just overall just doesn't really cross a ton, so need to kind of look out for that. Would be the center backs there. So McAllister is 4,300 as well. Not a ton of interest myself outside of Messi and Almada. I actually think Algeria could surprise and be one of the teams that score here. I mean, we saw Argentina in the last World Cup disappoint day one and then pop right back up and win the whole thing, right? So I think we could see something like that again here. Need to see the starters for Algeria. Riyad Mahrez should have most of the set pieces. Gori, 5K, I think he's an okay place. Amora is okay too. Chabi in the midfield, 4,500. 8 Nori, 4,100. They're just not going to possess the ball probably enough for some of these floor guys to get there. But Riyad Mahrez, 4,800, I think is a really good price, and willing to take some shots on him at both mid forward eligible and under 5K on DraftKings. Last game of the night, and this is another one of the midnight Eastern kicks, and you've got Austria and Jordan. Austria minus 290 favorite as of last night. They are minus 280 now. Norway has come down a bit too. They were minus 550. They're now minus 475. Still the biggest on the slate. For Austria, you're going to have Sabitzer. Schmid could get some here and there. Let's see here. I like Arnautovic is 9K. Gregorish is 10K, which is a tough price. This is more of like the tournament pivots, in my opinion, outside of Schmid and Sabitzer. Sabitzer specifically, who's going to have the share of set pieces that is probably going to make him a really good like cash play in this matchup with this team. The goal scoring guys above that are more reliant on goals are more of the pieces that I don't want to really play outside of tournaments. Lamer, 3,800 in the midfield, more of he's actually playing wing back. I wish he was defender eligible. This is a guy that I do wish was mid or defender eligible for sure, because I could see them keeping a clean sheet potentially. And we're not going to have that extra upside. For Jordan, Tamari and Haddad, in this projected lineup, you could see Rawa Debe he is projected to start 3,200. You could see him take some as well in the midfield. Noor, we're just going to call him by his first name, Noor. Let's see. So all these guys are very much, tournament options, if that, against Austria. I mean, I could see them slotting a goal in there. If you look at the goal scoring odds in this game for Jordan, let's see if Tamari's 5-1. All those guys are in that kind of same range. Securi's 8-1. Yeah, not very good, of course, for our purposes. I didn't look at that Argentina game for the ones wasn't missing any. Never mind. That's about it here. My core for like a cash game build would be definitely picking one of the set piece guys for France, so Douillet or Elise, depending on the salary you have available. Next piece for cash games, Messi just has such a good floor. I think Sabitzer for cash would be a very good option. And then it's kind of hard because and Ryerson at defender, I think, would be a definite core piece. Then I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to basically have to choose between like Mbappe, Haaland, or Messi. And to me, like Messi has the best floor and he's mid and forward eligible. So I think he's more the safer type play, but the other two may have a little more upside just because upside that they could, score 2 or 3. I mean, obviously Messi could too. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like he's more the safer option. And he is more likely to score actually than Mbappe. So that would be the core for cash. For tournaments, I think you just kind of mix in like a late Austria stack. I think is going to be pretty low owned, even though that they are like I'm talking about the Gregoritic 10K and Arnautovic 9K. I think like both those guys will be low owned, and they're actually I think they're still the second. Yeah, they're the second biggest favorite on the slate against Jordan. And I think those two guys will go low on compared to, let's see, like some of the Norway pieces like the Odegaard, Sorloth, Nusa, and then especially the big names like Haaland, Mbappe, Messi. Like if you just pivot some of your tournament teams to that Austria stack, some combination of those, you're paying about the same price tags, maybe a little less or more in some cases, but I think your ownership is going to be much lower. So that's about all I've got for today. I think it's a very interesting slate, ton of ways to go, which makes this very fun one to build for, fun one to track throughout the day and make adjustments to. If you guys have any questions, be sure to hop on the Discord and ask those. I'll have lineups updated around 2 Eastern today. if not a little bit earlier, with the lock time at 3. As soon as lineups come out, we'll get those updated, get the projections up, which you don't see here. They will be out just past the goal scoring odds when I unhide these and get those up. Those will update through the day, and we will definitely be playing some of these showdowns, as well throughout the day. So be sure to hop in the Discord for cores, rankings, a copy of the sheet to check lineups, check updated projections throughout the day. And we will see you back tomorrow. There's a link in the description of the video for that, that you can get to Patreon and get access for $15 for a month to our soccer package. So good luck today. I will see you back tomorrow morning for the Wednesday show. And then, like I said, the next 2 nights after that, the Thursday breakdown and Friday breakdown will both be up the night before, but available, of course, for rewatch throughout the morning. So good luck. We will see you